Lesnar is the WWE champion again. Just 3 weeks after he lost the belt to Bobbles Lashley at the Royal Rumble, which was just a few weeks after he'd won it in a match he wasn't supposed to be a part of. I am Luke Owen. This is Randy Andy Datson, and this is the WWE Elimination Chamber 2022 review here on the WrestleTalk Podcast channel. Please do give us a subscribe. Press the thumbs up. That's actually really important. You can press the thumbs up button because it helps YouTube's algorithm tell other people that we're great. So thank you very much for that. Join in the conversation, WrestleTalk.com/support. Andy, let's kick things off by talking about Brock Lesnar winning the WWE Championship yet again. I think it is fair to say most people went into this show expecting Brock Lesnar to win. Were you one of those people?
I was, and I wish I'd predicted it. Because I went, the Usos will probably win. And then Sock Puppet Sullivan said, oh, well, I'll go for Brock Lesnar. And then I was like, oh, my God. How did I... Yes. No, I did expect Brock Lesnar to win. I even sort of... I think I'm a genius in saying that I went, well, he's probably going to come in a bit later on and then just clear house. I think that was always going to happen because that's what he does. It's not like he was going to start the match and be the Iron Man.
No. And it was a match that I found frustrating in the build, because the build was, particularly that go-home segment of Raw, was this match may as well just be Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley.
Yeah.
Because these other four do not matter in the slightest. Brock Lesnar is the star here, and Bobby Lashley is his only challenge in this. And it's since been reported, Bobby's injured. Yes. Bobby Lashley got injured during that Brock Lesnar Royal Rumble match, so he was never really going to be a factor in this match anyway. It was why he hasn't wrestled on Raw. I hadn't even noticed that he's not wrestled on Raw.
Did you spot during the Royal Rumble match that every single suplex he took, he was landing sideways because he must have hurt his shoulder early on. Because I think when we were watching it during the Jamble, everyone's like, why does he keep taking it sideways? Like every time he's sort of twisted in midair so that he landed on his side.
Makes sense now, doesn't it? Yeah. And so apparently he's injured. He is out for possibly 4 months. He's got to go get shoulder surgery, which means he's going to miss WrestleMania, which means they had to get the title off of Bobby. And I mean, Meltzer had reported after day one, the plan for Mania was Brock versus Reigns, title versus title.
Yeah.
So this was a way to get the belt back onto Brock and set up this big match for champion v champion at WrestleMania between him and the big dog. So this Elimination Chamber match was 15 minutes long.
It must be the shortest of all time.
It has to be I'm pretty certain it's the shortest Elimination Chamber.
Have they changed the rules? Because since when was it only 2 minutes between each pod opening?
So I think they might have even said on commentary it's 5 or it's 2.
Because I kept timing it. I was like, this is 2 minutes, between 2 minutes and 2 minutes and 15 seconds every single time.
Yeah, they had a hard out for the show. So it was a 3-hour show. They went 2 hours 50 in the end. And because they had the hard out of 3 hours, that means they had to keep the Elimination Chamber matches short.
Yes.
So it really flew by as a chamber match. But also the chamber match ended up being Bobby gets taken out quite early on because Seth does a buckle bomb to Austin Theory, and Austin Theory falls through his pod, and Bobby goes down. And then medical personnel get in and they take Bobby out of the match. And then it's essentially waiting for Brock Lesnar to get in
and kill everyone.
And Brock just gets in and chumpatizes every single one of them. Just pins Rollins, pins Riddle, pins AJ Styles, and then he just toys with Austin Theory. You were saying this earlier that some people were like, oh man, well, Austin Theory came out of this looking great. I don't think he did.
I didn't like how they chumpatized everyone, and I don't think they need to make Brock Lesnar look cool.
No.
But God, he looked cool.
He did look great.
I thought the Bobby Lashley being written out was a bit lame. I get that they have to do it, but sort of being hit by a bit of plastic and the amount of people they worked. As soon as he got hit, he looked like out of it. Yes, that's because he's selling. Yeah, that's his job. But the way that Lesnar just kicks the bulletproof glass, kicks the plastic
very
open,
bendy, that bulletproof glass,
and charges through and then just kills everyone, and then Theory hides in the pot and Lesnar just comes in and boots the glass in. He looked amazing, but he didn't need to.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like we were talking about this earlier. Like he's Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, and
like,
now they've got nothing for Raw. What's going to happen on Raw for that? Is the top title on Raw now the US belt?
I mean, Brock's still there, so like, but he may be on SmackDown a lot because, as you say, like he's going to be feuding with Reigns, unless Reigns is on Raw as well.
But then that's good. They're going to have
doubles
to,
up.
Exactly, they're really going to have to try to make that not boring.
Because if you take Reigns off of SmackDown, you've got nothing on SmackDown apart from Charlotte and Ronda, I guess. But I bring this report up a lot because I think it's so true to what our situation is with WWE, which is that. There's a WWE talent told Sean Ross Sapp this for Fightful Select. Outside of maybe 4 people in this company, nothing matters.
Yeah.
And I think we could probably now deduce those 4 people are Brock, Roman, Charlotte, Ronda.
Yeah.
Because you look at the rest of Raw, nothing matters. You look at the rest of SmackDown, nothing matters. And what you then end up with this chamber match is a boring chamber match because all you're doing is waiting for Brock to come in.
Yeah.
Because AJ never stood a chance. Rollins never stood a chance. Riddle never stood a chance. Theory never stood a chance. Like Bobby was the only guy that would have stood a chance to win, and he was taken out of the match.
Well, the thing is that as soon as Bobby was out, I think the majority of people watching were like, "Well, someone's going to fill that pod."
Yeah,
and that made everyone go, "Oh my god!"
Your live
oh
reactions to this.
And so for the whole time, we were sitting there going, "Yeah, but," and then when Brock was even pinning it, Theory were like, well, there's still that pod. Are they going to do it? And then the bells went ding, ding, ding. And I was like, oh, that is it. And Ollie was like, no, I still haven't seen the copyright thing. I was like, no, it's definitely over. They're not going to have Cody run down and blindside Brock Lesnar.
Exactly. It's not going to be Cody Rhodes either. The man to dethrone Roman to Brock Lesnar. And that your reaction to it was like, oh, Brock's won.
Yeah,
like literally. Oh, okay then.
Yeah, like I did enjoy it for the sort of the brutality that Brock showed, and it will put over Reigns eventually, presuming that he wins.
But I think Reigns is winning.
I think no, that's what I mean. Yeah, Reigns.
Oh right, sorry, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And therefore it sort of. But then it just makes everyone look like a massive chump apart from Roman Reigns.
Your problem there is, and actually this is the Royal Rumble's the exact same problem here, is that Royal Rumble ends up being a boring Royal Rumble because no one stood a chance to win it other than Brock Lesnar, who wasn't in the Rumble until number 30. So the whole time is just waiting until, all right, when does Brock get here? Is like, yeah, you're right. Once Reigns wins at WrestleMania, which I think we can probably all presume that he will, once he wins and Brock goes again, who's Roman got? Like, Rollins is probably about the only person because he won via DQ at the Rumble. But he was the first eliminated here. And what did he do in this match that made Rollins look great? Like, Rollins was just in there to be chumpetized by Brock.
It was just a kind of a holding match. They were just doing their moves, and it was fun enough. But at no point was I thinking, oh man, Rollins is getting some real momentum here, or AJ could win this. It was just a matter of time until Brock came in, and that kind of ruins the excitement. It
does. I think you're right on that as well. Like I was thinking about, and the only reason I've been thinking about it is because I've been listening to a podcast that was reviewing it, the 2013 Elimination Chamber show. In that match, you had Jack Swagger getting over his new character of the We the People, the real American Jack Swagger, and all of this sort of stuff. You had Mark Henry re-establishing himself as this unstoppable monster. It took 4 guys hitting their finishes to get him out. And you had the drama between Kane and Daniel Bryan as Team Hell No. So from that one chamber match, you had 3 storylines that then spread off and then factor into WrestleMania. This chamber had one storyline, which is Brock is brilliant.
Yeah.
Which is a great storyline, only that's the storyline you told at the Royal Rumble. It was also the storyline you told at day 1. So you achieved absolutely nothing with this match other than damaging other people.
I don't know what's going to come out of this, because you got Riddle, who presumably will just, I guess, go back to the whole...
So it goes back to tag division, yeah.
And probably won't mention it. Or he'll be like, oh yeah, well, he threw me really high. And it's like, Austin Theory was really high on that pod, wasn't he? And Randy will go, oh, you. Theory will take selfies of things.
Yeah, he'll just go back to Austin, back to McMahon even.
Seth will go, ha, 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 and I don't know, feud for who is the United States champion? Damian Priest. Like, maybe it'll be, who's he feuding with? Anyone?
No, he just beat AJ.
Okay, he's just beating people. So, I mean, I don't know, Rollins against Priest. I saw people fancy booking Rollins Cody as like a kind of he was the I've forgotten the name of the Triple H group.
Oh,
the Authority.
The
Authority guy, and then Cody coming in, and like that's sort of I see there's a bit of a storyline going in there, but
what did this match do for AJ? Because AJ, the report is he's going to be feuding with Edge going into WrestleMania,
and that's cool.
Which is cool, but what did this match do for AJ?
AJ can't come back and go, oh man, I almost won that. Like, no, you didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
And Edge is going to come in and go, I really want to face AJ Styles because
he's one of the best ever.
The best ever. And I'm sure it'll be a really cool match, and they'll build to it because they're AJ Styles and Edge. And eventually, I'm sure I'll go, I don't actually care about the Chamber,
but
that's
I'll be excited. To it. That's the key to it, isn't it? It's the WWE breed apathy. So like their whole mantra of wins and losses don't matter all of a sudden rings true.
Yeah.
Because come WrestleMania, we're all just gonna be like, oh man, I can't wait to see AJ versus Edge, which means that really matches don't matter.
Yeah.
All you're getting to is just the hype for a match, and then it's just the hype for the next match. Doesn't actually matter what the results of any of it is. It's just whatever the hype is for the next match.
And it's not like Brock's going to be having matches every week to kind of prove himself as a worthy champion.
The next match he'll have will be at WrestleMania.
It'll be either he or Roman will open every single show probably, and they'll cut a promo on each other, and then for the rest of the next 2.5 hours, it's going to be. Well, and it's going to be Becky and Bianca kind of,
which I think will be great.
Promo battles, which would be cool.
You still got 3 hours though. Like there's a lot.
Then I don't know what is going to happen on that.
Well, we'll certainly see when we get into it. I was curious this morning. My kid fell asleep on me this morning. She didn't sleep very well last night, which is one of the reasons why the news was slightly late today.
Yes.
She was asleep on me, and I was just listening to Sean and Denise reviewing the show, and I went on to cagematch.net, which is a wonderful website. And I was just curious, when was the last time Brock Lesnar was a part of a match that wasn't for either the WWE title or the Universal title? And outside of the 3 Rumbles he's been in, one of which he was champion, and that Money in the Bank match that he was not supposed to be a part of, the last time Brock Lesnar had a match that wasn't for either the WWE Championship or the Universal Championship was when he got beat by Goldberg at Survivor Series in 2016.
5.5 years ago.
5.5 years ago was the last time Brock Lesnar was not involved in a championship picture. My worry is, since Brock came back at SummerSlam last year, and he came back as Farmer Brock, and he's got his little onion hair, smiling, the big beard, and I think he looks awesome. And he's been babyface Brock. People have really gotten into him.
Yeah.
And we have, you look at sort of comments and stuff that we get on our channel here, you go onto Twitter and you see the reaction to him. The reaction's actually in the building. This is the first time, I think, since 2016, 2017, people are into Brock Lesnar. My worry is that giving him day one, having him beat Big E, then having him win the Royal Rumble, and then winning the Elimination Chamber, and just beating everyone mercilessly on the way there is going to turn people against him. And I kind of hope not, because I've been enjoying Brock, and I've been enjoying people being into Brock, and I hope that this doesn't detract from that and the build to WrestleMania.
And you sort of, the thing is, you build him to WrestleMania, and then if he, as we assume, loses, then all those people who really got into him, I mean, I assume he'll disappear, because that's what Brock does. And then you've got all these guys who are so into Brock, all these fans who are so into Brock. And I mean, I do like this character of Brock. I've really enjoyed seeing this sort of more goofy side of him and kind of see him being cheered for once. Not for once, but... And so when WrestleMania comes around and he loses, then all of that kind of momentum that he's built as a babyface is just it's gone. And then you've got Roman Reigns as the double champion. Does Roman then go, well, I don't need 2 of these, and just give one up?
Oh man, could you imagine if he just vacates one of them? That'd be rubbish.
Or does he unify them? But Vince wants 2 belts because that's 2 sources of income for the merch.
There's the last thing I wanted to say on the Elimination Chamber, which, I mean, it was only 15 minutes. There isn't a whole amount to say to it. And, Brock did the F5 to Austin Theory off the pod, which was a very scary,
but I think very safe bump at the same time.
I mean, I feel sorry for his poor old knees, but yes, at least he landed on his feet, more or less. And I think you said this on the live reactions as well. They filmed it brilliantly because they got the really low angle on it to make it look like it was 100 feet in the air. It was like off the top of the Statue of Liberty or something. The last thing I wanted to mention is that what they've done with Brock isn't dreadful.
No.
Winning the title at day one, winning the Rumble, or losing the title of the Rumble, winning the Rumble, winning Elimination Chamber, kind of in isolation isn't terrible if it was multiple people doing multiple storylines.
Yeah.
Like, what we have done is we've used the road to WrestleMania, as lame as a term that is, to build one guy.
Yes.
And it's one guy that probably won't be there after Mania. So it's kind of a waste of time.
And I don't think I'm... If Brock had come back 3 weeks before Mania and gone, I want Roman, and just challenged him, I think I would have been maybe not quite as excited about the match as I am now that he's had this build, but I wouldn't be far off it. Because it's Brock Lesnar. He doesn't need to win the Rumble to get a championship match. He can turn up whenever he likes. It's the same as like Charlotte Flair or Ronda Rousey didn't need to win the Rumble to challenge.
You're absolutely right. Like, you set that up with Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman turning on him in the Roman match. Like, you set up your Roman Brock Mania match in that moment there. You then didn't need to have him win the Rumble and win the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, because that if you, as the WrestleVotes report was, if you have no idea what you're doing for your WWE Championship match, at least give a guy who you want to build the Rumble, and then you can figure out from there who you want him to face at WrestleMania.
Yeah. It's a bit of a frustrating situation, I feel, as a fan. I mean, this WrestleMania isn't for us.
No.
It's not for you and I as sort of like the hardcore wrestling fans who are doing a live stream on YouTube, and like all for the people that are watching this, because they're trying to appeal to the mass market with Brock versus Roman, Ronda versus Charlotte, Johnny Knoxville versus Sammy, Logan Paul coming in to be the Miz's tag partner, this, that, and the other. So it's like they are not making a Mania for us. And it reminds me a little bit of back in sort of 2012, 2013, 2014 time when it was, let's say 2014, Mania came about the part-timers.
Yeah.
And it was all about like, what are our big part-time matches here? And then all of those part-timers go. And the main roster talent that's left there being like, well, now we've got to carry the company for another year until the part-timers come back. Yeah. And I'm worried now that we're in a situation where we're just going to have celebrity matches and part-time matches for Mania, and then the main roster talent is going to have to carry the rest of this company until they all come back again for their matches the following WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult because I am looking forward to WrestleMania, as I always look forward to WrestleMania.
Of course.
But I just... Yeah, the next few weeks, it's going to be just sort of, okay, but what is everyone else doing? Because we know, is it just going to be a bunch of kind of exhibition matches that don't mean anything? Or are we going to try and build a bunch of blood feuds? Are you just going to go, oh, well, Kevin Owens hasn't got anything, I guess we'll just, maybe we're going to put him in the Sami Zayn, Johnny Knoxville match? Or like, are we just going to make these matches like they do with Mansoor? I don't know where Mansoor was, by the way, on this card. But like,
it's weird that he wasn't there.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's not well. But why is everyone else going to do? There is so like, given that they usually have 15 to 16 matches on a WrestleMania card, and only I would say 3 are confirmed, and maybe 5 others are like almost certain. So you've got probably an entire night of WrestleMania to fill with nothing.
Yeah, well, what you end up with, Andy, is that tag team turmoil match with all the women tag teams that went on for
fell over on the ramp.
It went on for like 50 minutes or something. Anyway, let's see what you have to say about this in the Ultrachats support. WrestleTalk.com/support. Get involved in the conversation. Micah says, fun fact, Brock has not only been involved in a title match at Mania since 2015, in 2 occasions, Mania 32, when he faced Ambrose, and the last year because he wasn't there. Every other one, he's in the title match. Build new stars, WWE, for God's sake. #this company. Yeah, I mean, I put up that post yesterday being like, here's what Brock has done in like 49 days. And everyone was like, yeah, but glad they built that new star, Brock Lesnar, who is in his 20th year on the main roster.
Theory really got the rub last night.
Didn't he just looking like a coward?
He did a low blow. He did what Vince said.
Yeah, when he did that drop kick, it was pretty great. But then Brock just got back up and beat him up again. Kevin says apparently Bobby is injured, so the concussion angle was a way to write him off. I guess WWE just went, well, let's put it on Brock again, I guess. For some reason, I have zero interest in watching this WrestleMania, but it might be fun with you guys.
I just think there was a less lame way of writing Bobby out. Like, I don't know, like, break the glass. He comes out and then there must be a way to actually make it look like he's hit his head, because it didn't look like it hit his head at any point. Which I know people don't want to hit his head. Well, we don't want him to like Madcap Moss it or whatever, but just to kind of to make a prove a point. But it, at no point was I like, oh yeah, he's actually hurt. It was very unconvincing.
The mayor of Painesville, Dan, said, hope you guys are well. What a crappy road to Mania this is. WWE finds something that works, because Brock is fantastic right now, and they are creatively bankrupt, so that's all they will focus on. Nothing else matters, like Metallica says. Well, I hope you like Metallica, because you're going to hear Sad But True for the Undertaker's Hall of Fame music, or a bunch, I feel.
Who do you think is inducting him?
Well, I mean, it's got to be Kane, right?
You'd think so.
I've seen some people be like, well, I hope it's Triple H. Why? Of all people.
Had that one match.
They had 3 WrestleMania matches. Like, Michaels makes sense.
Michaels, Kane, or Vince.
Yeah, those are my 3. But for me, I'd want it to be Kane.
Yeah.
Kane, in order, Kane, Vince, Shawn.
Yes.
Is that the same order for you?
I think so. Any of them would work perfectly.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they'd all do a good job of doing it. Even Vince rambling on about, he's a dead man.
Such a Hall of Fame career. Yeah, you don't want to do the Vince doing a long Hall of Fame speech. I first brought in Undertaker in 1991.
But then at like the speech where everyone's sort of wearing their suits, does the Undertaker then come out and like, rest in peace?
I had a great career in the WWE. Ben Crossley says, Money in the Bank, Day 1, Fatal 4-Way, Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber. I'm so glad that they're finally pushing a new young guy. Wait, no. I'm so glad that the new young guy will get the rub from beating Brock. Wait, no. This company.
Wasn't it a Fatal 5-Way?
Well, yes, but I mean, he was right. It was originally a Fatal 4-Way. Originally, it was a singles match. Ben Crossley adds, I mean, I wouldn't be too mad if they unified the belts. They can't build any new stars. So why have a single company champion floating between both brands? Saves them the trouble of making a mid-carder seem viable only to be buried, and saves us the pain. I think you're right. Like, it's probably a merchandising thing. It's 2 belts to sell on WWEshop.com. Also, like, you've got 2 competing networks. Actually, maybe this is the best way to have the networks like appease both of them, is that you give both of them Roman Reigns.
But yeah, but it does dilute Roman Reigns for me.
Hugely so.
I can't see them going, oh, we've got 1 belt now and it's a WWE Championship. I think there has to be 2 top belts, because they are so set on. The one on SmackDown is blue, and the one on the other one is black.
But it once was red.
It was.
I was thinking about this on the drive here. Isn't it weird how we've just accepted that it's called the Universal Championship, which is a really rubbish name for a world title, but we now just say it? Oh yeah, it's for the Universal Championship. And like, never at any point do we sort of sit there and go, it's a crap name though, isn't it? It's rubbish.
Yeah, bring back Big Gold.
Greg Murphy says, I like the idea of champ versus champ. However, not on a 2-night Mania. But I'm going to night 1, so I could potentially miss the only men's match that the company cares about. I was very surprised at how quickly Rollins and Styles got pinned too. Yeah, that's an interesting point, isn't it? Not everyone's going to be going to both nights. And I reckon that this is night 2. And night 1...
Night 2's main event. Yeah, last year.
Yeah, like last year. I think this will be night 2's main event, and night 1 will be Ronda Charlotte.
Roman defends it on night 1. Big Show comes out, challenges him to a match on night... I don't know.
The real WrestleMania main event.
Ollie seemed to think like, oh no, Roman could lose 1 belt. I'm like, yeah, but that's not... You can't just lose 1 belt, because then he can't go... the whole point is that he's completely undefeatable. I know, but what if Cody could come back? Ollie's convinced that Cody could be the guy. I think Ollie thinks either Cody or Bron Breakker.
Well, I mean, Cody is, like, apparently the report is he's coming in for a big push. Yeah. I mean, that'd be funny. When Miz said, I'm going to go make a call to someone, I did write, like, lol, I bet it's Cody. Like, bringing Cody for this crap mid-card, lower mid-card
just so
tag
he can
match.
Be on Miz TV.
Exactly. Hover J said, heard on Sean's stream and found it intriguing. 4 black WWE champions, each of them had their reign ended by Brock Lesnar. I mean, it's true. I don't think it's intentional.
No, someone did chat that in yesterday. We were like, oh, that's interesting. I don't think they're doing that on purpose. I don't think they're building. I don't know, Brock Lesnar. He hates black champions.
He's the man. And we've got another black one called Brock. He's super mad about it.
Some of my best defeated champions are black.
Karen Albright said, I was curious how you guys think Lesnar's chamber compares to Shayna's chamber win in 2020, seeing as they both eliminated everyone. Thanks and jam that jam. If Shayna's chamber had the 2 minutes, it probably wouldn't have felt quite so bad, because she was in the 5-minute version and she was just like, Liv came in and she just tap her out quickly and then just wait. It's like, oh, here comes Sarah Logan, just tap her out quickly. That match was turgidly boring.
It did have Natalia in it as well. This was much more exciting simply because Lesnar is such a dynamic performer and such an exciting performer. Not saying that Baszler isn't, but the way that Lesnar also puts away his opponents feels more exciting. Like, I get that the Kirifuda clutch is a cool move, but when they just walk out and then immediately get tapped out, and like you say, then she stands there for 4 minutes. You're going, oh, come on. Like, I get that you want to do the whole 5 minutes, but you could easily kayfabe this and just bring someone out every 2 minutes.
I don't know. Dave Meltzer's at home timing it. We can write about that in The Observer. Fox Warrior 88 also adds, fun fact, Brock has taken the WWE Championship off every African-American wrestler who's held the belt. Happy Black History Month. Bezo Bank said, here's a terrible fact for you. We've only had 4 black WWE champions, and Brock has ended all of their reigns. Glad Bianca won, and her and Becky have the story to main event, because unless you add Sasha or Naomi to that Ronda Charlotte match, I don't care. Ronda Charlotte is one-on-one.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm gutted for her too, but Naomi ain't being added to that match. And I do think it's weird that they kept bringing up Sasha Banks before it was announced as Ronda, but she's not being added to it either.
No, Naomi was there simply so that
for a tag match.
Yeah, well, so that Ronda didn't get beaten up too much.
Yeah, she was there to be a tag partner.
Yeah.
And lastly, for now, Tenruz has said, we are probably entering an era of manias the same as when it began in the 80s with heavy celebrity integration and exhibition type matches. Vince is going back in time with many aspects right now. Also, induct Cyndi Lauper into the Hall of Fame, you cowards.
Who's your pick for Celebrity Hall of Fame this year?
Fred Durst. Fred Durst would be an amazing Hall of Fame inductee. It's the lead singer of Limp Bizkit.
Ah, that makes sense. With The Undertaker.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Oh, man, you've hit the nail on the head there. Yeah. With The Undertaker going in, it makes even more sense to do it now.
Fred Durst could induct The Undertaker, and then Undertaker could induct Fred Durst.
Why don't I think of Fred Durst being the man to induct the Hall of Fame? Ladies and gentlemen, The Undertaker! Yeah, no, it makes way more sense for it to be Fred Durst now that you've said it. I just think, like, they're WWE's favourite bands.
Take that, Adam. We've booked that.
And actually, finally, they're relevant again, but they haven't been relevant since 2001, so maybe now is the time to do it. Let's go through the rest of this show. I don't think it'll take us much long. Rey Mysterio and The Miz were on the pre-show. Reg won. There was a fun spot in this when Miz tried to do the Eddie Guerrero thing. Yeah. So, like, he had a chair, and Dom took the chair off of him. So Miz kicked the steel stairs and then grabbed his arm. So the referee turned around at the big bang that he'd heard and saw Dominic standing there with the chair, and the Miz was like, oh, ow. I mean, you did make the point on the live stream. Well, surely that's a DQ.
Yeah. if the ref believes that the Miz has been hit with a chair, then that's a DQ, and I should have had the point. I got screwed again. But I don't know. Like, it's obviously the right decision for Rey to win with W2K22 because it hits different. It's coming out in a couple of weeks, and it's probably at the time I was like, why is it on the pre-show? And then I realized, oh no, because the pre-show is available to everyone to watch it. But I just think the Mysterios are coming across as really unlikable. Like,
yeah, I mean,
there was first of all, there's something weird about Rey Mysterio getting a piggyback from Dominic all the way to the ring. That's a weird visual immediately. And then they keep cheating to win and acting as if that's okay.
But yeah, which is kind of the Miz's point, really, isn't it? It's just like, when I cheat, people boo me. But when you do it, you get compared to Eddie Guerrero.
Not that they didn't just beat him. They just kept beating him up after the match.
It was weird, wasn't it?
You're not baby faces. I know you're Rey Mysterio and his son, but I mean,
So Miz has now got to go call in Logan Paul to come and help him out.
To really be a heel so that people could boo him even more because they're like, oh man, the Mysterios are really not very nice, are they? We really need someone that everyone hates.
Well, at least WWE have got the foresight this time to know that Logan Paul's going to get booed. Because that's not happened the last time they brought him in. Do you remember, like, for that Moist TV segment where they're like, here comes big babyface hero Logan Paul.
Bring in Jake Paul next time. I don't know. I just think they're coming across as really unlikable, and I hope they turn each other. I'd rather see them two face each other at WrestleMania than the Miz and Logan Paul in a tag match.
We had first up on the main show, Goldberg versus Roman Reigns. The entrances for this match took 16 minutes, which is longer than the main event.
Why didn't Goldberg do the whole I'm assuming there are no like changing locker rooms.
Well, it's already been 16 minutes, Andy. We don't need to add an extra 4 onto this.
The Roman AR is proper crap, isn't it?
It's a bit rubbish.
And it's the worst of all of them, and that's saying so. Actually, no, the Bianca Belair one with the hairy lips.
I like the Belair one with the little whipping sound effects.
Horrid.
But yeah, 16 minutes. And this is what WWE is now. It is all about the entrances. The matches come secondary. Yeah, like the main event, the Elimination Chamber main event of this show, called Elimination Chamber, was 15 minutes. The entrances for this match were 16 minutes long. By the time we got to the next chamber match, the women's one, 40 minutes of the show had passed. And we'd had 5 minutes of wrestling. Can you imagine, like, look at any show that's on TV that's an hour long and what they accomplish in 40 minutes. And WWE accomplish nothing in 40 minutes. And we sit there and we're like, yeah, well, that's about standard.
And the thing is, my issue with this match is it's a similar issue with the Brock Lesnar thing, is that, yes, Roman looks kind of cool coming out of it. But first of all, beating Goldberg doesn't feel like a big deal anymore because he keeps losing. And it didn't seem difficult to beat Goldberg either.
Yeah.
Goldberg got in a couple of spears and then failed to hit 2 jackhammers and then was just choked out.
Yeah.
Like, despite grabbing the rope, even.
Well, Roman did pull him off the ropes. So, like...
I'm not sure that's allowed, though,
if you grab the ropes, the referee gives you the 5 count to break the hold. And Roman just dragged him off and kept the whole blinding. So I don't think it's a problem with that. But you're right, like, Goldberg... Roman in his promo said, I'm going to Goldberg.
And he did.
And he actually did. He just steamrolled through him. Yeah, Goldberg hit 2 spears, but that was it. This was all Roman. And Roman locked in that guillotine, and then, he just tapped him out. You and Ollie were just waiting for Goldberg to power out and we'll go into the final third of this match. I was like, nope. I've written my notes here, lol, Roman just wins.
Yeah, I wouldn't be upset if that's Goldberg's last ever match.
Apparently it is.
I kind of hope it is. I can't speak for Goldberg, obviously, but it doesn't feel like he cares that much anymore. And I'm sure he'll come out on Raw tomorrow as big babyface and show that he cares like Ronda did. But I don't think he cares. He's almost 60. He managed to bust himself open somehow without hitting his head on anything.
I don't know what he did there.
Like, I know that he's old, but did he just scratch his head and then just like cut himself? Or did he have a spot?
Cut himself while shaving his head.
Yeah.
Just like a little nick on there. She gets Manscaped or Harry's.
I don't know. It looked like it didn't look like, oh man, Roman's beating Goldberg. It was like, yeah.
It is amazing how Goldberg has coasted off his one good year that he had in 1998 to like get him to this point here.
All the footage in the promo was from
1998. But it wasn't a nothing match really. But apparently, according to Fightful said that Goldberg had one more match left on his deal. That was this match. Goldberg is now a free agent, so AEW confirmed.
Him and Shane turn up.
They're the new power couple of AEW now that Cody and Brandy have gone. But yeah, so Goldberg even is on Instagram before the show started being like, talking about how this is his final match in WWE and possibly his final match as an in-ring performer ever. And it feels, if this is it, it'd be quite sad as a way for Goldberg to go out. Like, I mean, it was better than the Undertaker match. And I'd much rather this than him beating The Fiend. But even so, it was a stinker of a match.
The way Goldberg needs to go out is the Dolph Ziggler match.
Yeah,
He
yes,
he needs
absolutely.
to kill someone,
Yeah.
and then be like, "I'm out. That's me. I'm done. You're
Love
next.
that.
I kill you." Like, even if it's Dolph Ziggler again,
Yeah.
someone who can just bump like crazy
I'd
for him.
love it to be The Miz, because The Miz would sell that so brilliantly.
I would. Yeah, he needs that more than anyone. I mean, him and Lita didn't do a very good job this week of both going. It's probably not from my last match actually. Like, so you're losing then. But yeah, I think as much as I wouldn't be like I'm not a big Goldberg fan or anything like that, but I think it'd be nice for him and his kind of legacy if he can go out on top. Sort of.
Up next was the Women's Elimination Chamber. It was Bianca Belair versus Doudrop versus Rhea Ripley versus Nikki, Almost a Superhero, versus Liv Morgan versus Alexa Bliss. No baggy t-shirts.
No, boy, I'm glad they covered up that skin by making them all look like gimps.
So what they had instead was skin-tight suits. Like,
especially Liv Morgan's one, man. Like,
she came out looking like Britney Spears. Like, oops, I did it again. And it was, because of the Saudi culture and stuff, you can't, you don't want to sexualize women, but by not having to wear the baggy t-shirts, they looked more sexualized here than they would have done in their regular ring gear.
And the thing is, some of them look really cool in their kind of their tight costumes. Others had clearly made Charlotte look rubbish in her one.
I like Ronda coming out in her gear. I thought that was cool. That was cool. But here is my hot take for this match, Andy. Mm-hmm. Here is my hot take. And I am stunned that you and Ollie weren't annoyed about this during the live stream reactions. I'm stunned. I've listened to Fightful's review, and I've listened to Going In Raw's review of the show. No one seems to be annoyed about this. Why is Alexa Bliss still evil? The whole point.
We did point that out. Ollie rebuffed me and was like, "Oh no, she's over Lily now. She's still evil."
But what was the point of any of it? We have spent weeks and weeks of her doing these therapy sessions, and the doctor in the end said, "And now you're cured." And she came out exactly the same as she was before she'd left. What was the point of any of it?
Yeah, but it had a swing.
Oh my god, yeah, she's got a fucking swing in there as well. I hated this so much. I'm like, why did you waste my time being like, and then this new Alexa Bliss is going to come out, and people are like, oh yeah, she's going to be this, she's going to go back to being Little Miss Bliss or the Goddess or this and the other. No, she is still Fiend Bray Wyatt, Lady Fiend. But that's it. What was the point of anything?
And Bianca winning was the right decision, but
yes, it was.
Now what for Bliss?
Well, that's it, yeah. You booked yourselves into a corner here of Bianca Belair had to win this match. Because you've been telling a story since SummerSlam that Bianca Belair is going to beat Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. Yeah. So Bianca Belair had to win this match. And in order to do so, you had to beat Alexa Bliss, who's literally just come back. With all of that, all those vignettes, I say hours of TV time. It was 90 seconds per vignette. But that TV time, that build, that hype, that anticipation, squandered for a pointless... I've got nothing against Alexa Bliss as a person, because I know when you start to rag on Alexa Bliss, there will be people who's like, you just hate Alexa Bliss. Don't hate Alexa Bliss. I hate the way that the company treats her, though, because I think the company treats her like dog crap a lot of the time. And they put her into these bad situations. So I hated the fact that her character hasn't changed in the least, which renders everything above that pointless. And more so, it ruins all of the emotion that came from that Charlotte feud, of Charlotte ripping up Lily. All of that is gone now. She didn't even come out with the fake Lily doll that was given to her by the therapist. So, nothing on this matters.
And it's a shame, because seeing Alexa back in the ring was really cool. Hitting her moves. She wrestled really well. And
it was great.
The final three, or the final four, was actually really good fun. But if the thing is, if you want to bring Alexa Bliss back, don't have her just immediately lose, because then it's like, okay, well,
what's next for her?
What's next? Just, I don't know, shove Dana Brooke or something.
Oh, why wasn't it Dana Brooke? Why wasn't it Tamina?
Shotzi, or I know she's on SmackDown, but just put someone random in there.
Carmella or Queen Zelina, one of the women's tag team champions.
They caught their tag team. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter that the tag teams, the women's tag team champions, they're not feuding.
Carmella can go in, do a serviceable job, lose, and Alexa can come back the next night on Raw.
When you've actually figured out what this new character is, as opposed to just bringing her back exactly the same as she was before, coming out to this same music, the same entrance, the same swinging nonsense.
Monday, she walks back into the room and goes, "Clearly didn't help, Doctor. I need more of these sessions, man."
I proper belly laughed though when they did all the entrances for this, because you had Belair, Doudrop, Ripley, Nikki ASH, and Liv Morgan came out, but Nikki and Liv were starting the match.
Yeah.
So, and then Alexa Bliss comes out last, and I'm like, is Alexa starting with them? Are they starting it as a triple threat? And then she just walks around to go into the bar. So they gave her the big superstar pop. That's the other thing is well about this. Belair got booed. Belair won this match. Looked awesome doing it. She hit this awesome riptide on Rhea Ripley. She hit this. Bianca Belair is an incredible wrestler. She's such a wonderful talent and a very lovely person. Yes, to everyone asking, I am taller than her.
Yes.
It's WWE do a very good job of making the women look, making everyone look taller than they are. But I towered over her and Trent Seven, funnily enough. The only person I didn't was Angelo Dawkins because he's massive.
You mean Gary Gordon?
Who?
You know his shoot name's Gary Gordon.
Is it really?
It's really funny.
I thought you were going to say some crap footballer from like a Division 2 league team.
He sounds like he's plays for one of them.
That's what I mean. Like, I thought you were going to say like some crap Division 2 no league player. That,
Gary Gordon down the wing.
That he looks a bit like. No, that's his actual name. It's Gary Gordon. Gary down the wing. It's Gary Gordon. Anyway, what was I saying? So Bianca Belair looked awesome in this. But because this crowd were really hot for Alexa Bliss because she did the big return, they booed Belair winning.
Yes.
That is a misstep right there.
She looks like a dweeb. Not like a dweeb, but the whole point of this was to put Bianca over. So don't put someone... that was why when I went during the predictions, I said Bianca's winning. Oh, no, Alexa's winning. Okay, no, I'm going to stick with Bianca because I was like... Why put in someone who you know is, other than probably Becky, the most over woman in your company in terms of pure fan support? I know there are people who don't like Alexa, but the fans who do like Alexa are incredibly vocal.
100%.
And so then to put her not just in the match, but also in the final two and have her very nearly win, you just immediately make Bianca the bad guy.
Yeah, it was a really good sequence between the two of them. But you are right. Like I think it didn't do anything for Belair, which is a shame. Charlotte Flair and Sonya Deville took on Ronda Rousey and Naomi. This was house show shenanigans.
Yeah.
But it was perfectly serviceable. Ronda wins. I like the finish of this of Ronda tapping out Sonya Deville, which totally makes sense. While Charlotte Flair stood on the apron, didn't help, and then left being like, "I'm still the champion. I'll see you at WrestleMania." This was exactly what you need to do. It's the perfect tag match to build the singles match at WrestleMania.
And I really liked how they presented Ronda in her judoka outfit. Should have been wearing some socks though. But like you say, it was the only way they could book this match.
100%. It was the perfect match to do at this point of the feud.
Yeah. And I like it. Ollie was like, How is she going to do an armbar with one arm? Like you only need one arm.
Yeah.
You need your legs is what you need. Some cool spots, and like you say, it was the only way to do it.
I'm also glad that someone has had a word with Ronda and been like, get over it, mate.
Yeah.
Like you have got to stop letting fans' negativity towards you affect your performance. Because when she came back at the Rumble and she cut that promo afterwards, she was like, I don't care. I don't want to be here. This is stupid. I'm here because I'm contractually obligated to be here. And then was on Raw being like, no, I'm Ronda Rousey and I don't like any of you. Looking bored out of her tits. And then someone had a word with her and be like, cheer up, mate. Have a Coke and a smile, will you? And shut the F up. And she came out on SmackDown and she was actually being Ronda Rousey again. And she's been so much more enjoyable since then.
Yeah. No, it should be Becky, in my opinion, because Becky's the one who pinned her. But because this was always going to be the match, they're building to it now. I'm not looking forward to, how many weeks we got? Like 6 weeks.
Yeah, 6 weeks
Ronda
of this,
Rousey, Charlotte Flair promos. Because Charlotte Flair heel promos are tedious, and Ronda Rousey isn't a brilliant promo.
They're not going to be doing like Ronda matches or anything like that. So I mean, we'll see what. Yeah, it's 6
I'm
weeks
gonna rip your arm off, and then Charlotte going, "Oh, Ronda, you're going to."
I mean, I think you're right, and like a lot of people said, it should have been the Becky match. But this is the match that WWE always wanted, which was Ronda versus Charlotte, and we're gonna get. I mean, the report is it's Ronda Becky next year. which actually I think almost elevates the Ronda Becky match. That's the second match that they're doing.
Wait, does that mean So presumably Ronda wins and sticks around all year.
Well, apparently so. Yeah, she's here for an entire calendar year. I think Ronda is winning at Mania, and then she'll drop the belts at some point. Either that or they'll do title for title again. I mean, if this is like once in a lifetime. And then you just we'll just do the same thing again next year. Yeah. That's not out of WWE's realm. Drew McIntyre took on Madcap Moss. Thankfully, Madcap Moss is okay.
Yes.
The word is he was fine when he walked backstage. I don't know how, because this was proper Sabu Chris Benoit dropped onto his goddamn head.
He just must have been completely disoriented, because why did you not put your arms out? It wasn't like he was like being tossed around a lot. He just went, well, this is me. I'm going head first into this. And there was the entire wrestling community at the same time went, oh!
It was disgustingly horrible. And it was like, he landed proper on his head. You haven't seen it. Drew did the Alabama Slam. And rather than sort of face forward, like Madcap Moss just went face down.
He sort of tucked his head a bit.
Tucked his head, and his head went straight into the mat, and his neck bent in a horrible way. Credit to Baron Corbin.
I was going to say.
Immediately get you out of there.
Yeah.
And the referee was down there, and I think Drew covered for it really well. Like, they did an amazing job of making sure that he was okay. I'm amazed they didn't just go straight to the finish.
Yeah. And Drew then is like, sorry, man, I really didn't mean to do that. But I'm actually going to try and decapitate both of you with this sword now. And then they did a Falls Count Anywhere match where the fall was in the middle of the ring.
The other thing as well on this is, it's Falls Count Anywhere.
Just make it no DQ.
Well, but even so, it's a no DQ match, right? So a lot of this match was Madcap Moss and Baron Corbin double teaming Drew until Baron Corbin stopped and just stood on the outside being like, no, Madcap, help.
You got it from here, man.
Like, Madcap Moss being beaten up and Drew's on the outside being like, oh, come on, Madcap. Get in and help him. That's what you've been doing for the rest of this match. When Drew chased him off and he ran to the back, I was like, oh, that's a great way to write Baron Corbin out so you can stop all this double team stuff. But no, he just
20 seconds later.
He just came back out.
He was like, he stopped chasing me. Great.
Great, I'll come back again. So there was some inconsistencies there. We are building to Drew versus Corbin at Mania. Poor old Drew there. Crying. I don't know what he did to deserve that. And what is it's got to be sword on a pole match, right?
Yeah. First blood with the sword.
You can't. You have set it up now that you are going to decapitate someone or stab someone with this sword, and you're not going to pay off on that. This is like in TNA when Abyss had that board with nails in it, and they kept teasing, oh my God, Abyss is going to hit someone with it. And I'm like, well, eventually you're going to have to pay off on that, and you're going to have to hit someone with a board with nails on it.
But the thing is, a way of doing that, which is you can set up a really violent weapon, like the Young Bucks did with the thumbtack boot. Yeah. Because while that will suck so much to take, it's not a sword. Like you could set up like a baseball bat with barbed wire on it. You can hit someone with that and it will hurt like hell, but you can do it safely.
Yeah.
You can't do anything with a sword unless you do the whole sort of through the armpit and he goes, oh.
Can you imagine?
Or like, I don't know, it's a cinematic match where it's like, swing, and then you just see this head rolling off. And it's like, oh my God, Happy Corbin's dead. I mean, and the next night, Baron Corbin returns and goes, oh man, well.
I had a smaller head underneath. I mean, Rey Mysterio
comes back with an eye patch and goes, oh.
That's it, Rey did lose an eye. Yeah. So it's entirely possible. But anyway, shock horror. Drew McIntyre won. Then we got Lita versus Becky Lynch. I thought this was a really fun match.
It was fun.
I really enjoyed this.
Becky sold so much. Oh, I mean, for her hero.
That's exactly what I've written here. Yeah. Becky's selling of this is so great.
Yeah, and Lita's not. Lita was never the world's greatest wrestler, and not all of her moves were slick. But Becky did her job to the point where she made everything look fine.
Yeah.
And it was as long as it needed to be. Yes, the finish was kind of like, it did slightly come out of nowhere, but it was everything it needed to be. And it wasn't a match to be like, oh wow, look at Becky Lynch, she can be Lita. This was very much let's give Becky a match against Lita in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
that's what they want.
So when the finish came around, I was making my notes, and so Becky goes up to do the moonsault, and she misses. And Lita hits a twist of fate, and she goes up and does her moonsault, and Becky kicks out. I was like, what an amazing spot that was.
Yeah.
And I was doing this in the spare room last night. I was watching the show last night and making my notes for it, which means that I had it in. Usually I would have it on my second screen, so I'd have that on the show on my screen and on my laptop so I can make my notes. But I didn't have that option, so I just had the show in one tab and my notes in another tab. And I watched that spot where Becky kicked out. I went to my notes to make notes on that, and the next thing I know, I just hear 1, 2, 3. Becky's gone. I'm like, what the hell happened? Go back to the tab, and Becky's won.
I also looked down. I think I was like, I think I went to grab my drink, and I went, oh,
Becky's won.
I genuinely didn't see the finish.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it was at a man slam.
Yeah, it was a man slam,
Okay.
yeah. It's like 3 different matches this happened. Like, Roman won, and you were like, oh, Roman's won. Then in this one, oh, Becky's won. And then in the main event, oh, Brock's just won. Like, a lot of, like, anticlimactic finishing stuff. It was very weird. But I thought this was really good. My only, if I was to give a slight critique to this, I'm annoyed that they have dropped Becky's rope thing.
Yeah.
So, like, Becky kept grabbing the ropes to win. That's how she beat Charlotte. It's how she beat Bianca. It's how she beat Liv. I don't think it's how she beat Doudrop, but I really think it probably should have been.
Yeah.
And because then surely you were doing that. Like, if you were doing it in 3 different matches, you are building for someone to kick out of that spot, which would be Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. But I think you need to do it in more matches to build that spot up so that when Bianca does kick out of it, it feels like a big deal. So for me, I think that's how it's how Becky should have won here by hooking the ropes.
And also, because they didn't do it here, by the time WrestleMania comes around, unless she keeps doing it, people have forgotten that that's a thing she does.
Exactly.
And so when Bianca kicks out of it, people won't be like, oh my God, that's the thing. They'll go, oh.
Or they don't do that spot at Mania, in which case it just sort of renders the build between Charlotte, Bianca, and Liv pointless.
I've seen quite a few people who bait on the back of this, and Lita, I know she's now said it's a one and done, but she has previously said, no, I probably could have another run. I've seen a lot of people saying, give Sasha a match against Lita.
Like Beth Phoenix was awesome at the Royal Rumble. Actually, so was Maurice. Maurice was wicked in that match. Lita was really good here, and WWE's women's division is lacking star power. I think having them there and working with some of them, going for actual programs, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I'd actually be all for it because they are missing something in their women's division currently, particularly on Raw.
Isn't there a report the Bellas might come back for a match against Vega and...
Yeah, I think that's for WrestleMania, right? Which again is more of that celebrity, like using the outsiders, the part-timers, the people who've got reality TV shows to have the big match at Mania to bring... I mean, they are desperate to sell out both nights, doing like various 2-for-1 sales. Like,
it was weird seeing that. They literally called it 2-for-1 Friday at WrestleMania.
And they did 2-for-1 Valentine's Day. Like, if you've missed one of them, there'll be another Tuesday where you can get a 2-for-1.
And also, you could turn up at WrestleMania this year and probably get a free comp ticket.
You'll get a comp ticket.
Somebody walking around going, oh, guys, there's this big wrestling show. We really need to fill the seats. Can you take these, please?
We need to announce there's over 100,000 people here, including the people that work there.
5 million people in here.
You've never been to a WrestleMania.
I've never been to any American wrestling show.
No, neither have I. I was talking to Denise about this. Do you want to go to a WrestleMania?
I would only go to WrestleMania if I had a good seat, because there are those nosebleed seats where you can't tell what's happening.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's a great atmosphere, but...
Especially in those open air ones as well. Like, I think it was the one with the rock with the palm trees over it. And like, it's from certain positions you couldn't even see the ring.
No, and there was the Randy Orton match a couple of years ago
where the sun came down.
There was like the light. There was like a red light was in people's eyes. I don't know. Like, I think if Ollie announced, oh, by the way, everyone at WrestleTalk, we're going to go to WrestleMania next year, that would be amazing. But I wouldn't just be going, oh, I'm going to go to WrestleMania on my own this year.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. It's almost like I wouldn't want to go to like a Champions League final on my own. I could really enjoy it with lots of people, but I don't think I would enjoy the whole atmosphere. That's not really my scene.
I think if we went on a work trip, then yeah. Outside of that, I haven't been before. I probably won't go now.
No.
But if we went for work, then I would go. But I don't think I would go out of my way to go to a WrestleMania. The point I meant to Denise was it's too long.
It is.
Like those 7-hour WrestleManias, I couldn't think of anything worse. It's bad enough watching it at home, but being there where you've got no escape.
You can sit on your sofa at home. You can go for a pee whenever you like.
I can pause it and I can leave and I can go and but to watch a whole 7 hours of it in an arena chair as well.
Now, I obviously didn't win the belt yesterday from Ollie. And I didn't really care. The only thing that... I mean, sorry, yes, I do. Yes. Oh,
of course you did.
But the only thing I was disappointed about, like, properly, was like, I mean, I got to watch night one on my own. I got to sit there and go... Because I can still watch night two with you, with everyone, because I've got the Jamble win. But now I've got to sit there during night one going... This is really long.
I mean, it might be shorter because it's over 2 nights now, so it might just be a 4-hour show
I'm
instead.
trying to wangle my way onto it. Go, no, but you needed me to be there for
news coverage.
Yeah, WrestleTalk.com.
And the last thing to talk about actually didn't happen, which was the Usos versus the Viking Raiders. The Usos attacked them before the match, so it didn't even start.
The WrestleTalk.com live results say the Viking Raiders make their way out to the ring, but are ambushed by the Usos before they can make it to the ring. The match is off. Great.
What a waste of time. What a waste of time flying the Viking Raiders out there for this.
You can fly the Usos over, understandably, because they've got to be in sort of Roman's entourage, but the Viking Raiders... And also, it was a bit like the Bobby thing, where they got attacked, but not very violently.
No, and
they were just going...
Oh man, I got pushed into the stairs.
How can I possibly carry on?
Either this was really stupid, and apparently this wasn't because they were short on time. This was always the plan. It was never going to happen. Why did you announce it for the show then? Because I'm just going to do it on SmackDown. A terrible advert for SmackDown this is. But the commentary said, man, the Usos clearly don't want this match. I'm like, why? Jimmy beat one of them on TV in 90 seconds
and
a few
also,
weeks back.
Look how rubbish they are. They just got hit once and they're going,
it's so easy to beat up.
I can't possibly compete in this one. And I speak to Pete in the office the other day and went, so, because I was doing my predictions, I said, have they built the Viking Raiders at all? Really? I was back there, no. I was like, okay, so they're not going to win then, are they?
It was so weird. Yeah, the comments were like, man, you said really don't want this match. I was like, I would. What an easy win this is.
Poor Viking Raiders.
But that was the Elimination Chamber. Overall, if you were to give it a score, what would you say? What were your final thoughts on it?
I think if I hadn't watched it with Ollie in the studio and we were having a laugh and having the chats and stuff like that,
the flossing and
doing it for charity, I probably would have said a 2.5 out of 5. But because of everything like that, at the time I gave it 3.5 out of 5 because I did enjoy most of it. But looking back at the actual reviewing it, it's like it wasn't actually that great, was it?
Yeah, like it was. We have gone into the new era of the Saudi shows. Like Saudi shows, when we're past Greatest Royal Rumble and Two-Weight Cup and Undertaker and Kane versus DX and Undertaker Goldberg and all this sort of stuff. We're past that era, and they're now just regular shows. Crown Jewel last year was just a WWE show. I much prefer it this way, where we're just going to do regular shows over there. They're not extended house shows or anything like that, or worse, pieces of propaganda, which is what the first one was. I much prefer it this way, but on the back of that then, that means they're no longer the dreadful shows that they used to be. They can just be either the brilliance that WWE can often be, or the meh that WWE can also often be. And this was in case was just one of the meh side of things. Yeah. It was just it was a paint by numbers show.
Some good, perfectly serviceable matches.
Yeah, totally.
But overall, there was some very questionable booking, and it leaves us in a bit of a what's going to happen at WrestleMania.
Yeah, exactly. And I would say that this. I mean, actually, do you know what? At 2 hours and 50 minutes. What a lovely time. Yeah. Flew by, really. But let's have a look at what you thought on the poll. 43% of you thought that this was a 3 out of 5 thumbs in the middle show. 27% saying it was 2 out of 5. 22% saying it was a 1 out of 5 show.
I don't think it was. Like you say, I don't think it was a 1 out of 5 show at all.
Absolutely
but I think that's a pretty standard and pretty acceptable poll, to be honest.
I think so, yeah. Let's get into the rest of your Ultra Chats. Ding, ding, ding. This is your last opportunity to get involved in the conversation. Let's see what we've got here. Russell Tyler Sanderson says, can someone explain why Cole kept calling the World Heavyweight Championship the WWE Championship? Are we just going to ignore the big gold belt was a thing? Yeah, I think because, yeah, they've joined forces.
It's in the past now.
They unified the belts. And yeah, I think to start calling it the World Heavyweight Championship, I was amazed that they called, Bobby Lashley said that he won the ECW Championship. I was amazed that they referenced that. William Rosmer said, now Cody can come to terms and end racism by defeating Brock. Maybe people will respond better here than the Go-Go feud, right? Maybe, guys? Looks like it's time for the old Codyverse in this company.
Well, did you see the chat where someone says, hey, they could, Cody could turn up in Saudi Arabia and end sexism?
That's really good. I actually popped that in Kenny Omega's interview he did with Wrestling Observer Radio that he called it the Codyverse.
Because it's like, it was very much Cody's off doing whatever he does.
The Codyverse or whatever it is.
We're all very much in the, well, we'll do our thing, Cody, and you can do whatever it is you do.
It's weird, isn't it? That like Ollie and I have been saying this in the Dynamite reviews, and it's not just us. People have been saying it in the chats and in live chats and in mega chats and stuff. And we talked about it in the office that it always felt like, yeah, Cody's just on this island. Going in Raw, used to call it Cody Island.
Yeah.
And literally in AEW, that is what was happening backstage. We're like, well, Cody has literally got his own pocket universe within AEW, and he just does that.
I was very interested, just how honest Omega was. Just be like, yep. That's just how it was.
Yeah.
I don't think it was money. I just think he just stopped enjoying because we weren't listening to his booking decisions.
The Adnap 2 said, it's obvious how to kayfabe a sword. Put your hand over it like Triple H does with the sledgehammer.
That would hurt. So,
ow!
How long would his arms have to be to get the entire Claymore in?
Oh my God. But you're do you know what Adnap 2?
Hit him at the end. Just bonk him on the head at the end of it.
I bet you that is what they do. Like he just does that and he just bonks him on the head with his hands. And they're like, oh my God, he hit him with the sword.
Oh, like he slashes at him. Baron Corbin goes, oh, bursts like a blood pack on his chest and is like, oh, I'm dying.
Oh, I don't think I'll go that far. The Lost Poet said, where does this leave Cody? Do you just leave him off Mania now? I mean, you mentioned there Seth Rollins.
He'll be on Mania.
I think
whether
he'll
it's
be on
in a
Mania.
match or just as a promo, he'll almost certainly be at Mania. It's the show that they want everyone to see, and they'll be like, look who we've got back.
My fantasy booking was that you keep Cody off TV until the Raw after Mania, and you have Roman Reigns come down with having conquered the Beast, and he says there's literally no one in this company left for me to beat. And that's when Cody comes out, and you set up Cody versus Roman for the next
Roman
pay-per-view.
vacates the belt to Cody immediately and goes, I'm actually on SmackDown anyway.
I'm not even supposed to be here today. Ten Ruzza, after going to the Super Showdown show here in Melbourne, Australia at the MCG, getting a taste of what a big stadium show from WWE feels like, it's fun to do Mania. It was fun, Luke. I've done Wrestle Kingdoms and they're brilliant. I haven't done WrestleMania yet. Look, I'm sure it'd be grand, but like I've got no interest in doing one.
Ollie informed me yesterday, and you may have noticed, that the Tokyo Dome is inflated.
It's inflated, yeah.
Surely that could go wrong.
I mean, yeah, probably.
If it was windy.
Yeah, I know, but well, yeah, if Storm Eunice comes through. I mean, in fact, Ten Rosa, Ollie and I got offered to go out to Mania. Which one was it? The one I think it was the one in Orlando, the one with the theme park setting.
34.
Is that 34? It was either that one. No, that was 33.
33 when the Hardys came back.
Yes, so it was either that one or Mania 34. Might have been Mania 34 actually in New Orleans that we got offered tickets to, and we didn't go. So. It's fine. Like I quite enjoy going to wrestling shows, but if I don't go to a WrestleMania, I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, I really missed out on going to a WrestleMania. A Royal Rumble, however, love to go to a Rumble.
Yes, me too.
Anubis282 said, I think they should have reworked the Bobby thing at the Chamber, given Madcap Moss got properly dropped on his head and there being no concussion protocol for him. Maybe the Bobby things even more out of place. Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how bad his shoulder is, obviously. So I don't know whether he could have taken any bump. Have Brock Lesnar enter, do the spot he did on Austin Theory, kicks the door in on Bobby, wipes Bobby out, And that's a much more believable way than a buckle bomb.
Well, I thought that's what they were going. So
because people get hit by like a double buckle bomb all the time, like getting thrown onto you.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make Bobby look like anything.
So I saw this match kind of in reverse in a way, because I'd watched the first hour of it with you guys on while I was just finishing up some work, and then I went to go and look after the kid, and then we put the kid to bed, and I went and I watched the show, and I thought, well, I may as well watch the show live because I can just see how the show finishes. And so I came in just as Brock Lesnar was about to come into the chamber,
Right.
and all of a sudden, like, I was watching you two react to it, being like, well, what's going to happen with Bobby? And it comes up, and I'm like, well, Bobby's obviously still in his pod then, because his name is up there. And then Bobby's thing goes off, and then he's not there. And I'm like, what happened to Bobby? And so then I spent the match being like, well, the rest of it being like, oh man, I wonder what happened to Bobby. Like, so when I went to watch the match from the start, I was even more underwhelmed.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, was that it?
We were building yourself up to sort of like, oh my God,
what did they do to
has he been
Bobby?
like zapped out by the returning Wyndham or?
Exactly. Always Be Scamming said, hey guys, how's life going? Do any of you use BetterHelp? Also, can I get a holla holla and a Finn Balor the big push, please? Tempest has used BetterHelp, in fact.
I've used BetterHelp.
Have you really?
Yeah, a couple of years ago, during, I'd say, the first year of lockdown, I was living on my own. My flatmate had moved out. And yeah, I'm very bad at working from home, as you are aware. I love coming into the office. And
I like being around people.
I like being around people. I struggle to just sort of sit there and kind of with my own thoughts. So yes, it was very good to kind of it was to help kind of build coping mechanisms for that. So, and it's not just for like, I think a lot of people think therapy is, oh, I'm depressed, therefore I need therapy. It's for a multitude of different things: anxiety, work stress, home stress, relationship. They also, I think they have a partner site, which is purely for relationship counselling and therapy. So they're a fantastic service. I really, really highly recommend, and it's great that we are being supported by them.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much for that. And lastly, has been a member for 5 months in a row. And I'm assuming that is what you use your free Ultra Chat for the month to do, is just to let us know you've been a member for 5 months. We very much appreciate you. And we appreciate all 1,500 people that are watching this show right now. If you're here, do give us a little thumbs up. We really do appreciate it. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll be back Tuesday to do the Raw review. Ollie and I will be back together like Renegade Masters here in the studio reviewing Monday Night Raw, the fallout of Elimination Chamber. But until then, have a great weekend, everyone. I have been Luke Owen, DAD. That has been Randy Andy Datson, and that was wrestling. Jam that jam.